Here's the paradox. The more AI dominates the internet, the more valuable you become. Why? Because AI can mimic knowledge, but it cannot mimic trust. As you know, I was the first creator to raise a venture round, $1.7 million. As a creator, it still blows my mind. But what's even crazier is that my investor, Slow Ventures, raised $60 million to invest in creators. You know what's their thesis? People who build trust with their audience. They're not looking for, the next Mr. Beast. Of course, Mr. Beast is great and he builds great projects, but if you are entertaining people, you're competing with all the funny people in the world. That's what Sam Lesson said. But if you're deep into something like carving wood or vibe coding, or you just love designing kids' bedrooms, the audience is going to trust you because they know you put hundreds of hours into what you love, and you can create the product that's going to change their lives, and you can create content that's going to change their lives. This is what they're investing in. And creators build this trust by building their personal brand. So if you're watching this and you want to ask me how to start in 2025, how to stand out, attract clients, and make money with your personal brand in the AI era when everyone and everything is getting replaced, and yes, blah, 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 creators are going to get replaced, the trust, I think, is not going to get replaced. So today, I'll show you how I'm building my personal brand in 2025 and how I am using AI as my not so secret weapon, because a lot of people are using AI, but I feel like it really helps me step up my game. So first of all, a couple of mindset shifts need to happen. First of all, you need to understand that building a personal brand is not like, oh, I'm going to post a video. Oh, it didn't go viral. Oh, the audience doesn't like me. That's it. No, it's work. You need to dedicate some time every day. But also there's another mindset thing. You are the product. What do we like about products? Your personal brand is not just your Instagram aesthetic, just beige or just pink, or a pretty logo. It's about how clear your message is. And your initial message has to be very clear and ideally niche. So if you're starting an AI blog or you're starting a cleaning blog, it has to be clear why people should subscribe. By you being your product, I mean that it's your ideas, it's your voice, it's your story, and most importantly, it's your reputation. When you build your brand right, people don't buy your product, they buy it from you. And what I noticed right from the start is that people follow passion. So I started my first channel talking about GMAT and TOEFL, and I was so passionate about taking the standardized tests and moving to the US, and people followed that passion, and we were able to create a product to help that cohort. Later on, I became very passionate with building a business and making it in Silicon Valley and fundraising, and this is why I started Silicon Valley Girl. And then later, I became a mom, and I became fascinated by other moms who were able to raise a kid, but also build a business. So I started to research all the things I could do to make that a possibility for me as well. And I don't do it alone. Yes, I have a team, but we also use a lot of AI tools, even when I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. So for example, step number 1 that you can do using AI, you can ask it to find your niche. Because most people get stuck on day 1, like what should I even build my brand around? Use an app that you use the most. For example, you use ChatGPT every day, then go to ChatGPT. Because your brand is what you already have, whether you're a creator with 1 million followers or you're just starting out as a creator. There is something that you're passionate about. There is something you keep asking about. So if I were you, I would go to ChatGPT. Let's ask my ChatGPT, what would it say? I want to start a blog. Imagine I don't have any blogs. I want to start a blog today. What should I post about? Because I've been talking to my ChatGPT for more than a year now. It knows me better than some of my friends. And immediately, it gives me your expertise, business, tech, language learning, marketing, investing, personal insights or stories, behind the scenes, your travels, your parenting, your investments. If you could just narrow it down to one topic, what would it be? I want to start with a perspective niche that's growing, that's profitable. How to thrive in the age of AI as an entrepreneur, creator, or investor. ChatGPT knows me so well. This is the topic that I'm most passionate about right now. Oh my God. See, you can do it right now. Ask your ChatGPT what it thinks you should blog about. Oh, and by the way, how do we like my new hair? I just got this haircut yesterday and it feels so cool. I feel like I'm a person from France back in the 70s, and I'm going to play with my style a little bit. Anyways, when ChatGPT gives you a recommendation, another thing I want you to think about is that if you continue with this topic, do you like when it's going to lead you in 5 years? And let's imagine everything goes right. Because you can guide that perception in the direction that you want. If you want to be more of a celebrity, speak at conferences, that's one niche. If you want to just do a lifestyle vlog and travel, that's another niche. The thing is, we can make people see us the way we want to see ourselves. So you have to believe in that vision of yourself first, and then tell ChatGPT, like, hey, you need to think as a coach, as a mentor, as the best social media person in the world who's managing this celebrity that I'm going to become in 5 years. So you have to think like that person. And when I'm going to ask you questions about posts, about anything, you're going to reply like that. Because in order to achieve something, you need to start thinking like a person you're going to be in 3 or 5 years. ChatGPT knows a lot about my goals. So when I ask it a question, it's like, if you want to become whatever you want to become, don't do it. It's not going to be on brand for you anymore. If you don't have an AI that knows a lot about you, think about topics that you naturally talk about for hours, what people ask you for help with, the types of content you enjoy consuming, what podcasts, what books, what creators, skills you've developed in the past 5 years, results or transformations you've helped others achieve, and what you want to be known for in 3 years. You can just take this prompt, which I'm gonna put into the description. You're a personal brand strategist. Help me brainstorm my personal brand direction based on the following. And then you put in answers to the questions I just gave you. Identify 3 to 5 personal brand angles or identities I could build around. For each, include a one-liner describing the positioning and an example content theme or series I could create. Then give you a recommendation for the strongest option and why. This will give you 3 to 5 possible directions, and if you don't like them, ask ChatGPT to iterate based on the one that's almost right. Maybe you'll end up finding one topic, maybe you'll end up finding 2 or 3 topics. If you're like me, if you like 2 or 3 topics, you can just start 2 or 3 channels. Nobody is stopping you from that. So just start multiple and see how it goes. But don't overthink it, please. You don't need perfection. You just need a starting point. Now that you've defined your niche, the next challenge is to make your ideas look as good as they sound. And that's exactly where Gamma comes in. I've tested dozens of tools to help structure my ideas and content, but the one I keep coming back to is Gamma. It started as a presentation tool, and that's how I discovered it, because I wanted an AI-generated presentation that looks great. But with their latest relaunch, it's become so much more. You can now build everything from landing pages to trend reports or viral LinkedIn posts, all powered by AI. What I love is this. Let's say you've just had a big insight for your next LinkedIn post. Instead of starting at a blank slide or a Google Doc, you drop it into Gamma and it turns it into a polished, shareable asset in minutes. No design skills, no formatting stress, just clarity. I use Gamma to create pictures for LinkedIn posts, one-pagers for my PR team, and presentations for my Lingua Marina channel. It's the perfect tool if you want your personal brand to look professional without wasting hours. Whether you're a marketer, solopreneur, or a content creator, Gamma gives you the edge. Try it yourself at gamma.app. If you're in your 20s and you have all the time in the world, just start posting without thinking about monetizing it. That's how I did it. I just started posting. I just wanted to share. I couldn't stop myself from posting. But I also realized that if you're in your 30s right now and you're watching this video, you might be like, Marina, I have a job, I have kids. If I dedicate a few hours a week into something, I also wanted to become an income stream. Maybe I want to quit my job later and just double down my passion. So if monetization is the goal, you need to be very strategic about what you're filming. Think of monetization as a ladder. You climb it one step at a time. First, you can get paid for your skills. That's the easiest way you can monetize your personal brand. That could mean freelancing, doing client work, or offering service. But then you get paid for your knowledge. You're no longer just doing the work, you're teaching others through coaching, courses, or consulting. And eventually, you get paid for your presence. Brands invite you to speak, sponsor your content, or partner with you simply because of your influence. This was my path too. I started with language tutoring and exam prep. Then I created and sold digital products. I built a company around language travel. And now brands also reach out to me because of the audience and trust I've built. And I feel like having multiple streams of income is what makes this career more consistent. And you don't need a massive following to monetize, even if your blog has 100 people. But you're talking about one specific niche, like investing. You can already start promoting different apps and earn affiliate commission. There are so many ways to monetize a small community these days because there are millions of people who are making a living by creating content. So when I started 10 years ago, it was really hard to find a brand who would sponsor me right away. Now, you just go on affiliate platforms, you go on UGC platforms, you create content for other brands. There are so many opportunities. You basically just need to try different things to see what works for you. Step number 3 is to learn how to create content that converts. Because you need to get attention, you need to provide value, but you also need to monetize what you're building. My favorite system for content creation is something I call the content waterfall. Here's how it works. You start with one core idea. Let's say it's a short post you write for LinkedIn or X. Then you turn that same idea into a short video, a YouTube script, a series of carousels, a few strong quotes or hooks. So you just turned one idea into 10 to 20 assets without burning out. And you can use different AI tools for that. You can use EasyGen, you can use Poppy AI, you can just use ChatGPT. But the golden rule is adapt every idea for the platform you're posting on. Use AI to help you rewrite, reformat, repurpose. We do that every single week, and let me show you what's happening. This glass represents how much content we can consume as a population. Back in the day, we used to have that much content. So it was really easy to grow as a creator just by posting on one platform. You grabbed a lot of people's attention. Now, the amount of content with AI is way more than this glass can fit. People are still looking for great ideas, but you need to break through the noise. And in order to break through the noise, you have to be everywhere in this glass. Here's LinkedIn side, here is Instagram, here is X, here is YouTube, here is Shorts, here is TikTok. And again, you don't need to come up with a new idea for every single platform. Just prioritize a couple of platforms. For me, it's LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. And I create different formats for them. But if you're just starting out, I would say LinkedIn or Instagram. And once you think about ideas for those two platforms, you repurpose them using ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, EasyGen, Poppy AI. Repurpose it to every single platform. And this is how you become visible in this glass full of water. And there is this trend going on Instagram right now. People are tired of professional content. I know I'm in the studio right now, but I'm creating for YouTube, which is different. But overall, people prefer something that's very natural. I started making these videos with my kids and I asked them something and it's like a one shot and they're performing incredibly well and they cost me so much less to produce versus like a really well-produced Instagram video that costs maybe like $100 to my editor and then it takes me like an hour to shoot. Now I am personally kind of switching to this format again for the next few weeks. We'll see what's going to happen this fall because things constantly change. But if you're watching this video and it's August or September, you're in the right spot because we are in this trend of very, very casual videos, which means you don't need a fancy camera, you don't need a studio, you don't even need editing skills. You just need to ask the right questions. You just need to talk about the right things and do it very casually. Because in the world full of sameness, your voice is what makes the content hit. Your ideas are unique. Your apartment is unique. Step number 4, design your growth engine. Growing a personal brand isn't about luck. It's about systems. It's about showing up. It's about being responsible. So here is a simple 30-day roadmap. Week number 1, you define your brand foundation, your message, your audience, and visual style. Week number 2, you launch your content waterfall. You start publishing. And by the way, you engage like crazy. You comment, you reply to DMs, you join conversations. And week 3, you analyze what's going on, what people are excited about. If you don't get any feedback, you repeat week 2. You post and post and post. By the way, you don't just post the same type of content, you experiment. Maybe you film yourself cooking and talking. Maybe you film yourself putting your makeup on and talking. Maybe you talk about this new AI tool. Maybe you talk to your kids about AI. Different things. Please try them all. Week number 4. You try to monetize or test the grounds with one simple offer, maybe a service, maybe a product, or a one-on-one call. The secret is that consistency is much more important than virality. Don't chase likes, chase trust. This comes from a person who's been around for more than 10 years. The only way I'm able to maintain and sustain this, I am not really chasing trends. I am chasing a lifestyle where creating content is part of my life. I stay sane. I don't chase views and likes all the time. And yes, I don't get the most views, but it's my business and investors valued it at 33 million. And I'm not even from the US. Like, I think it's crazy. I think just the fact that we can build this beautiful career in 2025, documenting our lives, is godsend. Come on, people used to have, they still have creator Zoom calls where they come together, and I think Mr. Beast shared that every week. Yeah, I don't know if he has this now, but they used to jump on calls with other creators and they used to brainstorm topics for his next videos together. And I was wondering if I could do something like that. And I think smaller creators charge some like $75 an hour for a call like that. Now you have ChatGPT. Now anyone can have a call like that with ChatGPT for free. You can also ask ChatGPT to give your feedback on your content and ask it to rate your visuals, give suggestions. ChatGPT is basically your team, your collaborator. Okay, step number 5. I want you to think about monetizing strategically. It doesn't mean launching a course on day one. You just need one monetization moment. I like how my friend Christina, who's a lawyer, she started on Instagram. I think she quit Kool-Aid, one of the largest law firms, and she became a lawyer herself. She started a company and she has very few packages that she offers. She has this startup package for I think $2,500 that I use personally to start a company for my snack brand. And she has a couple more. She doesn't have millions of followers on her social media, but she already makes more money than she used to make at that law firm. Why? Because her personal brand is super clear and her offer is super clear. She knows that a lot of people consume social media content and they're thinking about starting a business. So what's the best product? Company incorporation, and it's a C Corp. She's targeting startups. So you need to register in Delaware. If you have a co-founder, you need like all of those smaller details. Of course, you can do it for a smaller amount of money using apps like Clerky. But if you're planning to raise money, of course, you'd hire a lawyer. So think about how you can become like Christina. Think about this offer that you can make to your audience that fits a lot of your followers, but also makes financial sense. Because if you only have like 100 followers and you offer something for $5, it's not going to make you too motivated. But if you have 100 followers and you offer something for $2,500, that's another story. Then once you come up with a product, you can use apps like Stan, you can use Beacons AI to create a product and place call to actions in your content where it feels natural. Like DM me if you want to work together. Another very important step, emails equal control equal money. The algorithms change every single day. And you do not own your audience unless you own emails. Every 100 subscribers is a powerful asset if they trust you. I've recently started my newsletter about the AI tools that I'm using and how I'm using them. I'm going to leave a link below. The app that I'm using is called Beehive. I like their pricing. I like the founder. I know the team. One feature that I really like, they offer you cross promotion across other newsletters. So you can basically buy followers because they understand how hard it is to grow a newsletter. But also, if you have a 10,000 subscriber newsletter, that's already a business. And do not forget that you don't just post success stories on your social media. I was in a podcast a week ago where the guy who was interviewing me, he said his sister used to watch a lot of my content, but then she stopped. And like she stops and resumes, she stops and resumes. Because sometimes I post too much about like achieving things, and that's me. But I also realize how important it is to share the downfalls. Like I used to work with my husband. We can't do it anymore. I can't stand that dynamic. I have 2 kids and it's messy. I get frustrated. It's very hard to travel with them. They're screaming and they're unhappy. Right now it's summer. They don't have their school. And like I am driving them to different activities. They're still unhappy. And I have to work as well. I burned out in 2022. I couldn't post. And I kept showing up, but I also shared those things. That is what makes you a real person. Don't build a brand to look rich. Build a brand that's rich in trust, purpose, and freedom. If you're honest with your audience, believe me, it's so much easier than creating a character, because this is where longevity comes from if you're being you. So here's your challenge. Start today, pick your niche. If I were you, I'd start on LinkedIn. If you're like a business person? 30 days. Post on LinkedIn. Create one piece of content. Share one story. Don't wait for permission. Build your brand and come back in 30 days and tell me how your life changed, because it is going to change. Just 30 days. Because the future and the present is about being visible. And you need to start being visible. Start building your personal brand today. Come back and thank me later. And subscribe to my newsletter and subscribe to my Instagram, Silicon Valley Girl. And by the way, comment on my haircut, please.